There is a food sitting in your refrigerator right now that could be one of the most powerful allies your aging brain has ever had. Most people eat it without a second thought. Some seniors have been told to avoid it for years, and almost nobody is eating it the right way, at the right time, prepared the right way, to get the full brain-protecting benefit it is capable of delivering. I am not talking about some exotic superfood you have never heard of. I am talking about the humble egg. I am Dr. Alan Miller, and after 18 years specializing in senior health and cognitive wellness, I have seen firsthand how the smallest nutritional decisions can either protect a mind or quietly erode it. The research on eggs and brain health has shifted dramatically in the last decade, and most people over 60 have not heard any of it. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly what is inside an egg that your aging brain is almost certainly not getting enough of. Why how you cook it matters far more than most doctors ever mention. The timing that amplifies the brain benefit, and what combinations to avoid. I am going to break this down clearly, practically, and in a way you can start using as early as tomorrow morning. Before we go further, one important note. This video is educational in nature. Always speak with your own physician before making changes to your diet, especially if you are managing cholesterol, cardiovascular conditions, or taking medications that interact with dietary fat or protein. Now, let me tell you about Dorothy. Dorothy was 73 years old when her daughter brought her in to see me. She was sharp, opinionated, and deeply frustrated. Over the prior 18 months, she had started losing words mid-sentence. Names of people she had known for decades would simply disappear. She was sleeping more, but feeling less rested. Her daughter described it as watching her mother's brightness slowly dim. Dorothy's labs were not alarming in the conventional sense. But when I looked more carefully at her nutritional picture, one thing stood out immediately. Her choline levels were critically low. And when I asked her about her diet, she told me something I have heard far too many times. My last doctor told me to stop eating eggs, something about my cholesterol. She had not eaten an egg in over 4 years. Here is what you need to understand. Your brain is not like the rest of your body. It is made up of approximately 60% fat. It requires a constant, precise supply of very specific nutrients to maintain the myelin that coats your nerve fibers, to produce the neurotransmitters that allow one neuron to communicate with the next, and to protect the cellular membranes of your neurons from the oxidative damage that accumulates every single day you are alive. One of the most critical of those nutrients is choline. Choline is a compound that most people have never heard of, yet it is absolutely foundational to how your memory functions. It is the direct precursor to acetylcholine, the primary neurotransmitter involved in memory encoding, learning, and attention. When acetylcholine levels fall, memory falters. When they fall severely and persistently, the clinical picture begins to look a great deal like early Alzheimer's disease. In fact, one of the defining biochemical features of Alzheimer's is a profound deficit of acetylcholine-producing neurons. Here is the part your doctor probably has not had time to explain. The human body cannot manufacture choline in sufficient quantities on its own. You have to get it from food. And the single richest dietary source of choline available, more concentrated than beef liver, more than soybeans, more than almost anything else you can put on a plate, is the egg yolk. One large egg yolk contains approximately 147 milligrams of choline. The recommended intake for adults over 50 is around 425 to 550 milligrams per day. 2 eggs at breakfast put you at roughly 300 milligrams before you have even left the kitchen. No supplement delivers it in quite the same bioavailable form. Stay with me, because the next part is where most people get this completely wrong, and it is costing them the full benefit. How you cook your egg changes its nutritional value in ways that matter profoundly for your brain. This is not a minor detail. This is the detail. High-heat cooking methods, scrambling in a hot pan, frying in oil at high temperature, baking in a hot oven, oxidize the cholesterol within the egg yolk. Oxidized cholesterol is a compound that has been associated in research with inflammation, including neuroinflammation. It also degrades a portion of the choline content through heat-induced breakdown. Let me be direct with you. A hard scramble cooked on high heat for 5 minutes, and a gently poached egg sitting in barely simmering water for 3 minutes are not nutritionally equivalent. They look similar, they taste similar, but what arrives at your brain cells is different. The cooking methods that best preserve choline and minimize cholesterol oxidation are soft boiling, gentle poaching, and low-heat steaming. Soft scrambling on low heat with the pan removed from the burner while still slightly underdone is also acceptable. What you want to avoid is high, prolonged, dry heat applied directly to the yolk. Let me tell you about Gerald. Gerald was 68, a retired school principal, and one of the sharpest men I have ever treated. He started noticing concentration problems that felt out of character. He was a crossword puzzle devotee who suddenly found himself struggling with clues he would have solved in seconds 5 years earlier. Gerald was actually eating eggs, 2 every morning, scrambled, but he was cooking them the way most people do. High heat, quickly done, fully cooked through. We made one change. Soft-boiled eggs, yolks still runny, 4 mornings a week. We added one other change I will get to in a moment. Within 3 months, Gerald told me the fog had lifted. His wife told me he was finishing the crossword again. Now I want to talk about what you pair your eggs with, because this is the other half of the equation that almost no one addresses. Eggs are rich in fat-soluble nutrients, including lutein and zeaxanthin. These are the same carotenoids that protect your macula in your eye, and emerging research is showing that they accumulate in the brain as well, particularly in the hippocampus, which is your primary memory formation region. The absorption of lutein and zeaxanthin from egg yolk is dramatically enhanced by the presence of healthy fat. This means that eating your eggs alongside avocado, a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil, or a small handful of walnuts is not just a pleasant combination. It is a neurologically strategic one. The fat from these foods opens the absorption door for the lutein and zeaxanthin to pass through. What you want to avoid pairing with your eggs is refined carbohydrates, white toast, sugary cereals, processed juices. Here is why. Refined carbohydrates cause rapid blood sugar spikes. Repeated blood sugar spikes create a process called glycation, where excess glucose essentially sticks to proteins throughout the body, including in the brain. Glycation of brain proteins accelerates amyloid plaque formation, the sticky protein clusters that are a hallmark of Alzheimer's disease. You could be eating the most perfectly prepared eggs in the world and undermining the benefit with what you put on the plate beside them. Let me introduce you to one more patient. Margaret was 71, a retired nurse who understood nutrition better than most of my patients. She was already eating eggs and already eating them gently cooked. But every morning she paired them with 2 slices of white toast and a small glass of orange juice. When I explained the glycation pathway to her, she went pale. "I thought the juice was healthy," she said quietly. We swapped the white toast for a slice of whole grain sourdough. We replaced the juice with half an avocado. 3 months later, her fasting blood sugar had dropped, and she reported that her mental clarity in the mornings, the time she used to feel foggiest, had meaningfully improved. Here is the deeper principle at work. The brain you have at 70, at 75, at 80, is not a fixed object. It is a living structure that is constantly responding to what you feed it, how you sleep, how you move, and how you manage inflammation. Every meal is either a small act of protection or a small act of harm. Most of us have spent decades not thinking about it this carefully, and that is not your fault. This information has not been widely communicated, but it is available now, and you are hearing it now. Now let me give you a clear and practical protocol you can begin implementing immediately. First, eat 2 to 4 eggs per week at minimum. Research suggests this range provides meaningful cognitive benefit without raising cardiovascular risk for most healthy adults over 60. If you have specific cholesterol concerns, have that conversation with your doctor before adjusting your intake. Second, cook them gently. Soft-boiled is your simplest option. Bring water to a gentle simmer, lower the egg in carefully, cook for exactly 6 minutes, then transfer to cold water for 1 minute. The yolk will be soft and slightly liquid at the center. This preserves the choline and minimizes cholesterol oxidation. Third, eat the whole egg. The yolk is where nearly all of the choline, lutein, zeaxanthin, and vitamin D live. An egg white omelet is a protein delivery vehicle. It is not a brain protective food in the same way. Do not discard the part that does the most important work. Fourth, pair strategically. Add half an avocado, a drizzle of olive oil, or a small portion of walnuts to the same meal. These fats act as absorption enhancers for the fat-soluble nutrients in the yolk. Remove the refined carbohydrates from the equation, or, at minimum, replace them with lower glycemic alternatives. Fifth, consider timing. Your brain is doing significant consolidation and cellular repair during sleep, and it begins ramping up metabolic activity as you wake. Providing choline and brain-supportive nutrients in the morning gives your brain what it needs at the moment it is most actively engaging with the world. Breakfast is not the only option, but it is a strong one. Dorothy, by the way, came back to eggs, slowly at first. 1 soft-boiled egg 3 times a week. Then 2. Within 6 months, her daughter sat in my office and cried. She said her mother had come back. Not completely, not in every way, but the word finding had improved. The brightness had returned in places she had not seen it in years. Was it only the eggs? Of course not. We made other changes, but the choline restoration was central to everything else we built around it. The egg has been demonized, celebrated, and misunderstood for decades. The science is now clearer than it has ever been. For a brain over 60, a well-cooked egg, eaten with intention and paired with the right foods, is not an indulgence. It is medicine in a shell. Do not let another morning pass without thinking differently about what is sitting in your refrigerator right now.